going to be making an easy homemade clam chowder. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you probably already know by now I love soup. Like, we love soup in our house, and you are probably here because of one of my other soup recipes, probably my chicken noodle soup. But clam chowder is our absolute favorite in our household. We love to buy the cans of clam chowder, but you will be surprised at how easy it is to make clam chowder on your own in your kitchen. But if you're tuning in for the very first time, before we jump right into our recipe, I wanted to say welcome to my channel. My name is Tamisha, and here typically on my channel, I love to share recipes and everything food related. I just want you to be comfortable and inspired in your own kitchen with learning different homemade recipes. So now let's jump behind us into our clam chowder recipe. So first I want to show you everything that we're going to use to make our clam chowder. So I'm starting off with some bacon in my pot. I'm just going to cook off about 5 to 6 slices of bacon. And then also over here are some of our ingredients. So I'm using frozen clams today. This is 1 pound of clams, and let me show you what I'm using. This is in the seafood section, the frozen seafood section. You can find this. This is a pound, but you can also use the canned clams. And I'll insert a quick clip of the canned clams on the shelves. You can find it usually like right above the tuna, and that works just fine. Okay, so you can use the canned or the frozen, but I'm using 1 pound. I'm also using some red potatoes that I've just cleaned and cubed up. And what I did was I peeled about half of it, and then I left a couple of them unpeeled just for some extra color. But this is our baby red potatoes, and this is 7 small potatoes here. So we're also going to use 1 small onion that has been peeled and diced up, as well as 4 stalks of celery. We're going to use some minced garlic, as well as just a little bit of chicken broth. We're also going to use our clam juice. So I'm going to use 2 jars of clam juice. This is 8 ounces. And then our seasoning, we're going to use some salt, some black pepper. We're also going to need some bay leaves, as well as some thyme. And then also wow, did I already mention the chicken broth? If I did, we're using a little bit of chicken broth in this. And then with our frozen clams, we're going to use the juice from that as well. So this is just the extra juice from the clams. So what we're going to do is just finish getting our bacon cooked off, and then we're going to remove this from the pot and then move on with our recipe. Bacon is looking good. What I'm going to do now is just get it out of our pot. And we're going to reserve this bacon for later. Some of it's going to go back into our soup, and the rest we're going to use to top our clam chowder. So once we get all of this out, what we're going to do is add in our vegetables, and we're going to cook those down until they are just a little bit translucent. We get our onions and bell pepper into our pot. And I did strain off, pour out about maybe half of the bacon fat from our pot. We definitely want the bacon flavor from the fat that it cooks off, but we don't need as much. Unless it depends on what type of cut of bacon you're using. Like if you're using a center cut bacon, you won't have as much fat, so you may not need to drain any of it. But I'm going to let this cook down until it's translucent, and then we're going to add in a little bit of our garlic, and then we'll continue on with our clam chowder. So our vegetables are looking good. What I want to do now is add in a big heaping teaspoon of garlic. And you can use fresh garlic. You can even use garlic powder if you want to. I'm just using the jar garlic today. Either one is fine. So now you don't want to add in your garlic when you add in your bell pepper. I'm sorry, not bell pepper. Oh my goodness. You don't want to add in your garlic at the same time you add in your onion and your celery, because the garlic, we don't want it to burn. So you add it in once your vegetables are ready. And this is looking good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of flour. And we're going to just get this in here and we're going to cook this for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. But what this is going to do, this is going to actually help to thicken up our clam chowder. Now we want to go ahead and add in our clam juice. So we're going to just get both bottles in. And we want to whisk at the same time just to make sure that our flour doesn't start to clump, because you want this to be smooth. All right. So I'm going to add in our second jar of clam juice. And we're also going to add in the reserved clam juice from our frozen clams. And then also I have 1 cup of chicken broth. We're going to add that in as well. So now it's time to add in our potatoes. We're just going to get this into our pot. We're going to let this cook for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until our potatoes are tender. But what we're going to do now is go ahead and season this up just a little bit. We're going to add in a little bit of thyme, a little bit of black pepper, and I'm also going to add in a small amount of salt. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit for now, and then when we're finished, we'll add in a bit more after we taste it, just to make sure. I don't want to go too heavy on the salt. So maybe about a 1/2 teaspoon to start off with. And now what I want to do is give this a good stir. And if you feel like it's already thick, or you may be too thick, you can just add in a little bit more broth. If you have extra clam juice, you can do that as well, if you need to thin it out just a little bit. And this is looking good so far. And we haven't even added the clams in yet. Okay, so what we're going to do is add in 2 bay leaves. And I had somebody comment recently on my chicken noodle soup recipe and ask if I ever found that second bay leaf. You know, when you're adding bay leaves to recipes, oh my goodness, that's like the worst part, is trying to fish it out. But we're going to do it again. We're going to add in 2 bay leaves in hopes that I don't have too much difficulty finding them. Here I have about a 1/2 cup of heavy cream, as well as 2 cups of milk. We're going to get this into our pot. Go ahead and add in our clams, and then we're going to add in 1/2 of our bacon. So we got all of our ingredients in our pot. Let me just give it a quick little stir. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this come up to a boil. It's going to thicken just a bit more as it cooks, but we want to let it cook for about 15 more minutes, just so our clams can cook and get everything, you know, nice and married together, all of our flavors and our ingredients. All right, so our clam chowder is done, and you can see that is just so thick and comforting. It's nice creamy clam chowder. We have the smokiness from the bacon, heartiness from our potatoes. It is loaded with clams. Look at that. So of course we need to go ahead and fix a bowl. So let's go ahead and put just a little bit in here without making a mess. And here is our finished clam chowder, guys. So I don't know how you top your soup, but of course we need just a little bit of oyster crackers. I have some of the leftover bacon to go on top of our clam chowder, and just a little bit of chives, or you can put parsley on top as well. But oh my gosh, you see all of that? I just wanted to close out by saying thank you so much for tuning in to another recipe. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And as always, if you have any questions, definitely leave it below in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But until the next recipe, guys, stay safe. See you next time.